Hello and welcome to this week's podcast episode. This is episode number 5 of the SitRep podcast. Thank you very much for returning. My name's Ryan Condon, and every week I make a new episode about different subjects related to fitness, overcoming fitness challenges, overcoming really hard challenges, weight loss, and everything motivational. So in today's episode, I have a first for the SitRep podcast. I have a guest, guys, on my podcast for the first ever time. The long-awaited, longly promised, long anticipated. I'm going to let her introduce herself, actually. State your name for the record.
Scarlett.
Scarlett is my... How old are you?
15 next week.
15. Scarlett is 15 next week. Scarlett is my soon-to-be 15-year-old daughter. And as you know, I've been promising a episode with Scarlett for a while. Fairly recently, how long ago was it now that we did the Yorkshire Three Peaks?
Probably about 3 months ago.
Was it 3 months? Hang on.
In April.
Hang on, let me find out. I uploaded it 1 month ago.
Oh.
So just over a month ago. So I uploaded a video onto my YouTube channel called Yorkshire Three Peaks, A Forced Adventure. A Forced Adventure was a title that Scarlett gave it. And we completed that just over a month ago together. It's the first time Scarlett and I have done a really hard challenge. We've done a few park runs. We've done a few cycling events. She's come out running with me. I say cycling events. She's come out on a bike ride with me around our house. So we haven't done any events. And she's also come out with me when I've gone out running from when I first started running a few years ago now. She used to come out on her bike with me. She used to do some filming for me. She used to help me with the drone. So yeah, she's not new to my fitness challenges, and she is always, with Tracy and her sister, she is always at all of my events, pretty much all of them, unless she's at school. So she's a big advocate and a big supporter. So it'd be nice to have her on the podcast. How would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm always there, Don't know.
You're always there.
I'm always there.
In general?
Yeah,
in
everything
life.
you do, get ready to go.
Oh, you mean my fitness challenges?
Yeah.
So you're always at my fitness. What do you mean you're made to go?
When you're at Wales, I'm not staying home for a weekend on my own.
So you're telling me that when I do the fan dance recently, I did the fan dance at the weekend. For those of you, that's a good segue actually. That was almost as if it was planned. Scarlett's alluding to going to Wales for a trip. That was because I did the fan dance last weekend. And that was actually the subject of my last episode. So if you haven't listened to episode number 4, How Tough Are the SAS? Turns out they're pretty tough. Spoiler. Then please go and listen to it after this episode. The good thing about my episodes, unless I would probably argue that episode 1 and 2 are done in chronological order, but you can pretty much jump in and out of each episode as you see fit. They're not... it's not required that you've listened to episodes 1 to 4 before you've jumped into this one, but I would really appreciate it. And I know if you enjoy this one, you'll also enjoy episodes 1 to 4. So please have a listen to the other episodes if you haven't done so yet. But as Scarlett alluded to there, a few days ago I did the fan dance, which was a 24k route march with a heavy backpack, so a 45-pound Bergen over Penny Fan in Wales in the Brecon Beacons. So are you telling me that when you came to that event, like all my other events, you weren't there through love and support?
A little bit of that, but you're also forgetting the part where I was in the full rain for 2 days straight doing Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah.
I went straight from Duke of Edinburgh to Wales.
That's a good subject to talk about on the podcast. I forgot about your Duke of Edinburgh.
And I might as well have just taken my boots off and walked in the rain. I was soaked.
Okay.
I'd like trench foot.
Do you want to introduce people in case anyone listening doesn't actually know what the people know what Duke of Edinburgh is, don't they? Everyone knows what the Duke of Edinburgh award is. But do you want to just talk it through in case there's someone that's been living on Mars for the last 10 years?
It's there's 3 levels: bronze, silver, or gold. And I was doing bronze. And for the bronze one, you walk for 12k each day, so 24k throughout 2 days, and you stay overnight in a tent. And it was set up by the Duke of Edinburgh to get kids active.
Oh, very good.
Yep.
And to get kids active, are you active?
Yep.
Are you talking into the microphone while you're drinking your hot chocolate?
Yep.
Okay. So we done a bit of logistics before the start of the podcast where I explained to Scarlett that I need her to talk directly into the microphone. And so far in this introduction, she's done everything but talk directly into the microphone. So talk to me about your experience at the Duke of Edinburgh. How many days did you do it for?
It was Friday to Saturday.
Okay. So 2 days.
Yep.
Yeah.
2 days. And it was very, 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 very wet.
Yes.
Very wet.
Yes.
It was wet. It was hard because my shoulders hurt a lot because of the heavy bag. I had to care for myself. We got lost a couple times because we went an hour in the wrong direction and had to because we was walking on the road and we had to keep following the road because you can't just stand in the middle of the road and think about where you have to go. We knew it was going the wrong way, but we have to keep going because there's cars everywhere and it was a 60-mile-an-hour road.
Okay, well, so you was on the wrong road.
Yeah, because we was on the road and we was starting on the right path and we was meant to turn, but there was no turn anywhere.
So it's the past fault.
Yeah.
Who was reading the map?
All of us.
Everyone.
Yeah.
That's probably where you went wrong. You need to have one, probably two, but at least one person that's in charge.
There was like one kid doing it mainly because he had the map the whole time, but then everyone else was just inputting.
Everyone giving their opinion.
Yeah.
Nobody wanting to disagree.
Because if one person said one way and it could have been the right way, we all had to have a democracy vote.
But that's not always good. So democracy is great if you're running a country. It's a pretty good thing. But democracy, when you're following a map on a route and you don't want to get lost, if you just take the vote, what if the vote's wrong?
Then we went the wrong way.
Which is what happened.
Yep.
So you need someone who A, knows how to read a map and B, is able to make decisions.
Yep. Neither of us could do that.
How many of you were there?
7.
7 of you?
Including me.
And everyone was having their input?
Yep.
And you was all voting, were you?
Yeah. And we stayed in a tent of 3, which is including myself. And we had no room. I was sleeping against the wall of the tent because one of the people in my tent had a blow-up air mattress.
So 3 girls in a tent.
Yep. And I had basically a sleeping yoga mat. I was sleeping on a yoga mat as a bin bag with my pillow. My pillow was a bin bag.
Why didn't your parents send you with a pillow?
I'm not sure.
Maybe it's because you're 14 and you're able to pack your own pillow.
There wasn't any room.
So you was in a tent with 2 other girls and one of the girls bought a full-on blow-up airbed.
Yeah. It wasn't a big one.
In a 3-man tent.
It's not as big as a normal one, but it was still big.
Yeah. It took up the entire tent.
Yeah.
So why didn't you two tell her that she couldn't inflate it? She could just lie on it like a what they call roll mat.
Because instead of her deflating it, she had our feet in her face. We put her on the wet side of the tent. Her head was on the soggy side where the rain was coming in.
Yeah.
So she had our feet in the rain. So it was okay.
Okay.
She deserved it.
And how was the night's sleep?
Awful. She kicked me a lot.
And also, as part of the Duke of Edinburgh experience, part of the challenge was you had a kit list you had to pack in a bag, didn't you?
Yeah. It's like the same sort of bag you had.
Yeah.
For your fan dance.
Yeah. That's a good segue. Anyone that hasn't watched that video, I pack my bag. I bought a special bag for the fan dance and I made a video about packing it. That Scarlett's alluding to. So if you haven't watched that video, please go and check it out on my channel.
This isn't really a Yorkshire Three Peaks podcast anymore.
It is. We're talking about the experiences building up to it.
Yes.
I mean, your Duke of Edinburgh award, what was the reason we did the Yorkshire Three Peaks?
You claimed it was for my Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah. Is that not true?
No.
What was it for?
You.
It was for me?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, I loved it so much. I want to keep doing it. And then when we're on the walk, oh, I won't be doing this one again. Next year we'll be doing it again.
Who said that?
You.
I said I didn't want to do it.
No, you said, oh, I'm done with this now. I've done it too many times. I need to find something new.
Oh, about the Yorkshire Three Peaks?
Yeah.
Because I've done it 3 times now. The first time I didn't finish it. The first time it beat me. I was too heavy. I was carrying too much stuff. I was too unfit. The weather came in. But the second and third time was with you, carrying a 45-pound Bergen.
Yep.
So do you want to move on to the Yorkshire Three Peaks? Do you want to move away from your Duke of Edinburgh?
What was harder, the Three Peaks of the Bergen or the SAS?
Oh, that's a good question. What was that you just opened?
Coca-Cola.
I've had to bribe her with a can of Coca-Cola, which she isn't normally allowed to drink. It's pure full fat Coke, so nothing but sugar and
Yum!
and fizzy drink.
Delicious and refreshing. Original taste.
Okay.
Coca-Cola.
We're not sponsored by Coca-Cola, so can we stay on script?
Yes.
So what was that question you just asked me?
What was harder, Yorkshire Three Peaks with the £45 burger or the SAS fan dance?
That is a really, really good question. Let me ask you first before I answer it. You did Yorkshire Three Peaks with me, and you saw me. You didn't do the fan dance, but you saw me at the fan dance. What do you think was harder? What do you think I found harder?
Was Yorkshire longer?
Yeah, Yorkshire Three Peaks took us just over 12 hours, didn't it? Nearly 13 hours.
Yeah, but is it a longer distance or the same distance?
It's longer distance, and it's higher peaks.
I think with the weather for the fan dance, maybe lowered it. And you got worse blisters.
I got worse blisters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you didn't do Race to the Stones because of them.
Yeah.
But I think Yorkshire was harder because you had to take your bag off constantly and you had to keep leaning over.
Yeah. It's a good question. So I think the fan dance was harder because of the weather, because of my boots. And also the fan dance was under a time constraint. So I had a target I needed to hit. So I needed to push it as hard as I could. I didn't have a target to hit with the Yorkshire Three Peaks.
Yeah, but you had me.
I'd had you. Yeah. Which was the hardest part of the event. I'm pleased you acknowledge that. I'm pleased you acknowledge how much of a burden you were.
When I did Duke of Edinburgh, right, my teachers were saying basically I'm carrying a toddler on my back.
Yeah. Small child.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the backpack.
Yeah.
Why was you carrying a child in your backpack?
Because it's the weight of the child.
Oh.
Stuffed the child in my backpack.
So what did you find harder, Yorkshire Three Peaks or your Duke of Edinburgh experience?
The Peaks.
You found it harder, the Peaks, yeah. I mean, physically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But wasn't it an ordeal dealing with other people?
Oh, yeah. I had to wait half an hour just to put some boiling water in my pot noodle.
Why?
I had a pot noodle, and because there was only like 5, what are they called? The little pots.
Saucepan?
No, the pots.
Kettle?
With the gas.
Cauldron?
Put water in. Trangia.
Oh, what? I don't know what that is.
Well, anyway.
Trangia? Never heard of that.
There was 5 Trangias.
Isn't that a continent in the Jurassic period?
Google it, you'll know.
Right.
There's 5 Trangias,
Okay.
and there was about 5 people trying to use one at the same time.
Okay.
So the one I was waiting for, they had water in it, and you know the Wayfarer food I had?
Yeah.
They had one of those in, but they also had rice in it, which meant the water went funny. I don't know why they had rice in it, but you know, one of them was cooking full on burgers with gas.
Right.
Anyway, I then had to re-wait for water, and then they had to walk 10 minutes to get water and walk all the way back. So that was another 20 minutes. Then I had to wait for it to boil again, and then someone else is taking the water. I'm like, I just need water. I just want to eat my pot noodle.
Couldn't you just use a saucepan instead of a Trangia?
No, because that's the only...
That was the only equipment you had?
Yeah.
Oh, that's annoying.
The gas went under it, and then that's what boiled the water, and there was no other gases to boil the water.
So I would think doing an event like that, doing it with less capable people, which it sounds like from what you've already told me, bearing in mind that I live with you and I've heard stories, based on what you've already told me, it sounds like the people you were with were less capable.
Yes. And we're all
And I couldn't think of anything worse.
The teachers set up a gazebo, and it had holes in the pouring rain. So we were still getting wet under the gazebo because it had holes in the roof, and the stitching where it's all joined together let water in. So we're getting wet, and the teachers are sitting there in a massive camping tent for 4 of them. Like, you know the tents we had? And it's just a normal massive camping tent. There's 4 of them, while we're in these tiny one-man tents with 3 of us in there.
3 of you in a one-man tent?
Yeah. And we're getting soaked trying to cook food.
and they're living...
And they have a pop-up, like, cooker, like, stove thing in their tent, and we're not allowed to cook ours in our tent because it will let off carbon dioxide in there.
But they're allowed to do it.
And they're allowed.
I mean, to be
in
fair,
their
they're
tent.
not doing the Duke of Edinburgh challenge.
No,
And if
but
they
they're watching us struggle.
I mean, it sounds like they're glamping, not camping, and they're in their luxury tents with their put-up beds and comfy chairs.
They have like camping plates and cutlery.
But I would argue they're not doing the challenge. When I did the fan dance, the DS staff weren't struggling out there as well. I mean, to be fair, some of them were, but
A couple of the groups,
expectation is that they don't have to go through that ordeal as well.
a couple of the group's tents, like our one had it, but there was like this porch that went over, so we could put our bags in the porch, and there was like this plastic lining on the bottom, so the rain didn't come in from the underneath. But one of the other group's tents, like a couple of them, they didn't have that lining, so their bags and shoes and all of that were getting completely soaked throughout the night, and the teachers never cared.
Right.
Like, they just let it happen. And it's not their fault. Their tent was missing pieces.
Yeah. Okay, so the point of why we did Yorkshire Three Peaks, so bearing in mind, it was bronze version of the Duke of Edinburgh Award. You're still going to do gold and silver.
Yeah, they're like double more.
Yeah.
Like volunteering,
Yeah.
skill and physical.
Yeah, so you're going to do more of an arduous camping and hiking and map reading experience. So the Yorkshire Three Peaks was supposed to be as a good challenge. It's a good challenge to do. It set you up nicely for an experience with the Duke of Edinburgh. My view of it is, if you're able to do something like, at your age, if you're able to do something like the Yorkshire Three Peaks, then you can pretty much take on anything. And it's also quite nice to spend it doing it with your dad, no?
Yep.
Is that it? Yep.
Just, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was the best part of doing the Yorkshire Three Peaks?
I liked coming down Penny Ghent.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was at the end.
Yeah.
That was in like hour 12.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling that very well, but, you know,
Yeah.
it was quite fun.
What was the worst part?
The start.
The beginning?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Because, as you said, I wasn't in that mindset for it yet.
Oh. You remembered that?
Yeah.
So something does go in from my tactics and my experiences. You are retaining my knowledge.
If you say so.
You just said it. Have I ruined it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning then. Yorkshire Three Peaks. Let's move on to talking about the Yorkshire Three Peaks, because we've done Duke of Edinburgh. Sounds like an awful experience, and I'm pleased I didn't do it. So let's talk about Yorkshire Three Peaks.
Yes.
So we started in Horton in Ribblesdale. So Yorkshire Three Peaks, for anyone that doesn't know, and you can go and watch the video. We've got the video with commentary on our channel. I say our channel, my channel. So we've got the video.
It's all mine. I'm in charge. I do the editing. I do the filming.
So we've got, you do the editing and the filming. Don't say that, but there will be people that believe you. I wish you did. Then I could pump out more videos. And we've also got the full vlog without commentary. So if you wanted to go and watch either of them, the vlog is on my Patreon page and my joiner page. And the video with commentary, Yorkshire Three Peaks, a forced adventure, as named by Scarlett, is also on my channel. Why did you call it a forced adventure?
Can't remember.
We were talking about podcasts at the time. Do you remember? We was walking over the Downs at the beginning, right at the beginning. We'd gone through the station.
It's because we was talking about the name for the video. You said, what should we name the video? And I said, A Forced Adventure.
Yeah, why did you call it that?
Because you made me do it. Yeah, constantly. Like it was over like a year period. And you keep asking me, oh, we're going to go do Yorkshire Three Peaks next week. We're going to do it at this weekend on Saturday. I'm like, no.
You didn't want to do it?
No.
Why didn't you want to do it?
Sounds awful.
But now you've done it, aren't you pleased you've completed it?
Yeah.
It's a great experience, wasn't it?
It wasn't as bad as I was expecting. I was expecting much worse.
Was you?
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning. So we started in Horton and Ribblesdale. We went through the station. You ran over the railway lines without looking.
No, there was
Good thing I
no
was
train
there.
coming.
Oh, did you look?
Yeah.
Oh. What was you using to look? Me?
My eyes.
Oh, okay. So we ran over the railway lines and then we started on the Downs. What was your first impressions? What was your first impressions of the Yorkshire Downs?
What was that?
The Yorkshire Downs. The area we were in. That's the name of the area.
The start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't really seeing much mountains. I to be honest, at the start, I thought that's all it was.
A mountain range.
No, I thought like just that, like the flatness part of it. Thought that was all it was.
So when we started, when we crossed over, because the start of the Yorkshire Three Peaks, there's a route, an official route you can download, and there are organisations that organise walking, guided walks, walking challenges, running challenges. You can fell run it. I found out the other day you can cyclo-cross it.
Didn't we do it backwards?
We did it backwards, yeah. We went in the reverse order. So normally I say normally, you can do it in any way you want. I mean, the challenge is the challenge. You're not making it easier by doing it in reverse. Some say it's harder in reverse, but
I think it was easier. I wouldn't want to go up Pen y Ghent that way.
Yeah, but once you've gone up Pen y Ghent, once you've climbed it like a ladder, you then get the long, slow walk down, which is easier.
We also had the harder part going up it because some of the road was, like the path was shut off.
Yeah. But the reverse way we went, you start by going over the railway line and then up to Ingleborough. And Ingleborough has a long, slow drag up to the top, and then you've got a steep, steep descent down the other side.
I think that was worse.
That was harder.
The long start.
Yeah, the long start. It was a long start. So from Horton in Ribblesdale, from there up to the top of Ingleborough is a good few K, and it's a long old walk, and it's all uphill. So it is a tough way to kick off. What was it I said to you at the time when you were complaining about your legs aching?
It's all in your head.
Yeah.
It's all in your head. You're going to start doing it, and then at the end you're going to say, oh, you was right, Dad. It's all in my head. It's not actually happening. It's just my body telling me it is.
Yeah. Do you agree with that?
Nah.
So what I actually said was that your body goes through phases, which is talk about it from a running perspective. First 10K, don't believe your body. Last 10K, don't believe your body. So if you're running 100K, if you're running 50K, don't believe your body for the first section and for the last section.
I wanted to stop at the end.
You're at the end, yeah. 100%. Whatever distance you're doing, if you're not used to it, once you've reached your threshold, which you'd already reached.
I've reached that, like, the first mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. But how did you feel in the first few K? Do you remember walking up?
Awful.
And what did I say to you?
That, like, I go through phases.
Yeah.
When we stopped halfway, I think after that, my body was like, no, I've stopped and I want to stay stopped.
All right, so let's come on to that then. So we climbed up Ingleborough. What was the view from Ingleborough like? Do you remember? When we got to the top, we looked at the...
Was that the really windy one?
Yeah, where you had the...
Where we span around?
Yeah.
Yeah. You could see what was the water thing that you kept calling
The aqueduct.
Yeah, that.
That's the viaduct.
The viaduct. We could see the viaduct from a long distance, and that is what made my brain think it's going to take forever, because we had to go past it and then back and then past it again.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, it's too far. I can't do that.
Yeah. Psychologically, it's tough.
Yeah,
distance is also...
You can see where you have to get to, and it was a long way.
And you can see the winding path.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's an airplane ride away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So then we climbed down the other side of Ingleborough. Do you remember the steep descent down Ingleborough?
It wasn't that steep.
It wasn't that steep. I found it very steep.
You're afraid of heights, though. I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, I don't like heights. They make me go funny.
I felt bad for the people going up it, though.
Yeah.
Because going down was much easier.
Well, it's like anything. Going downstairs, climbing upstairs. What would you rather do? That's why lifts exist. People don't like climbing stairs, so they take the lift. People don't like climbing up Ingleborough, so you go in reverse order, go down it.
Yep.
That's where the challenge, that's why I do reverse order for Yorkshire Three Peaks. I don't do Yorkshire Three Peaks in reverse order because it's easier. I do it because I have vertigo. I struggle with heights. I really don't like heights. I don't like looking over the top of banisters or balconies at the top of flats. I don't like going up and, glass floor elevators.
So would you rather going up, looking forward to what you have to do, or going down, looking forward to where you have to go?
I'd rather go down than climb.
But then you can see how high up you are.
Yeah, that's why I don't like.
Going up, you can't see where you are because you're looking where you have to go.
It makes you worse because I can't see. I like to see. I like to know I've got control over my descent. And descent, I feel, this is in my head, it probably makes no difference. But when I'm going down a climb, it feels I have more control than I do if I'm climbing up.
See, I don't mind. I just don't like going up because my legs hurt.
So we got down Ingleborough into the valley.
That was a long path.
Yeah. And we had to walk over the farmers' fields, through the village.
That was when my legs started to hurt, was going down the steps, but because each step was 2 steps long, I was going down on the same foot, so then my legs started hurting because it wasn't doing the same thing as the other foot.
It was undulating terrain. The terrain was tough. The Yorkshire Three Peaks.
There was bogs everywhere.
Yeah, there was lots of puddles and they've installed a footpath over the bog terrain. There's like as you get down to the bottom of Ingleborough, for anyone that hasn't done it, there's a long section of just, it is a bog, it's like the scene, if anyone's seen the movie Labyrinth, so the bog of eternal stench, you've got the scene there where there's a rock, so they have to jump over to get through the bog and they can't fall in. That's exactly what it's like at the bottom of Ingleborough. You've got this long drawn out section. It's like a stagnant lake that you've got to cross. And there's no way you could cross it unless this path had been built. So they've built like this raised platform, which when I did it last year, when I ran it last year, I accidentally put my foot in. So I soaked my shoe and sock, one on my right foot, just one of them.
How did you manage to step off of it?
Because
it wasn't a thin path, it was quite thick.
Because I didn't realise it was a bog when I stepped off it, thinking that, sometimes it's easier to run on soft terrain. From an impact perspective, when you're running, I sometimes, quite often, if I'm running on a hard trail, if I've been running on a hard trail for quite a long time, I will sometimes, if there's a bit of grass, I'd run on the grass just to give...
So you didn't step off of it because you fell, you stepped off of it because you wanted to make it easier on yourself?
Yeah, because I was running on wood. It was all made of wood. And it's all hard. So I just thought I'd give myself a break and run on the grass, but it wasn't grass. I plunged my foot into it.
Was it not filled with water?
Yeah.
Because it was when we did it.
Yeah, it was. Plunged my foot into water and then immediately retracted it.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how I know it's bog. Take it from me. And then we crossed over the farmers' fields, undulating terrain. So the thing is with the terrain for the Yorkshire Three Peaks is it's got every type of terrain. You can run on, there's well-maintained footpaths, single track, dirt tracks, there's cobbled sections, and there's also tarmac road, and it's every type of footpath. But the footpath is very, very good. When I did the fan dance, coming back to the fan dance, the footpath and the trowel, that was the difference between Yorkshire Three Peaks. That's what made the fan dance so much harder than the Yorkshire Three Peaks. Was the footpath was horrendous. The footpath was like a game of hopscotch between boulders and misplaced stones. It looks at some point. They called it the Roman... Part of the section of the fan dance was called the Roman Road. That's what the name was on the map. So I don't know. It looked like it hadn't been maintained since the Roman times. That's how bad the footpath was. So the Yorkshire Three Peaks wasn't like that, was it?
No.
The footpath was actually really good.
Yeah.
Other than the bit up Whernside. So when you get through the valley after Ingleborough, you reach Whernside, which is the start of the climb up to the second peak. And that was quite steep, wasn't it? Do you remember going up Whernside?
No.
So we came down into the valley after Ingleborough, crossed over the farmers' fields, do you remember?
Yeah.
And then we got to the campsite. Do you remember there's a barn?
Yeah.
And there was a lady sitting outside the barn.
Yeah.
And there was a campsite there.
That was roads.
Yeah, that was tarmac.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good to walk on.
And then we had to stop to take off trousers.
Yeah. We say we.
Me.
You were getting hot, weren't you?
Yeah.
So you wanted to put your shorts on. So we changed.
It was a long path and then it went up.
Yeah. And then we stopped there for a minute and had something to eat, didn't we? You had an energy gel.
Yeah.
That you really enjoyed.
It was horrible.
It wasn't that horrible.
They're really disgusting.
That's because you had a carb one.
Blackcurrant.
Yeah. They do different flavours. The energy gels are really good because they give you a boost and they give you the carbs that you need, that your body needs to burn. Because the thing is, when you run out of your stores, it starts then using energy that you just don't have. And it starts using energy that you need to fight off fatigue. That's where you start getting tired. So we climbed up Whernside. Do you remember climbing Whernside? So it was quite uneven.
Yeah.
And we got to the top of Whernside, took a selfie with the marker that marked the top of the peak.
Was that the one where you missed it last time?
Yeah.
That was a long top, that one.
Yeah.
It went on for a long time.
It's a windy section as well. It's exposed.
Yes. Got my sticks making whistle sounds.
Yeah, Scarlet sticks, for some reason, being that they're designed as walking sticks, had a flaw that they whistled constantly.
Because the holes where you can make it longer or shorter
Yeah.
had wind going through them.
Yeah, it was like a recorder, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like a flute.
Every time I twisted them,
Yeah.
it made sounds.
We weren't sure what was causing it initially.
You told me it was the cows. At the start, because it did do it at the start when we first started through the fields. I asked, what's that whistling? It's the cows in other fields.
Why did I think it was the cow?
I don't know.
I don't remember saying
it's the farmer's bells on the cows.
Oh, is that what I said?
Yeah.
Oh, I had to say something, didn't I? I did that thing where I was being knowledgeable. So we completed Whernside, and then when we came down the other side, this is the best part of the Yorkshire Three Peaks, is when you come down the other side of Whernside, this is the second peak, you then see the viaduct.
Yeah.
And you walk past, as you leave the climb, as you descend the other side, that's a long drawn out path, but it's a very well maintained.
Because you had to go away from it and then go back towards it.
Yeah, you got to walk away from the route you're going. You walk in the opposite direction to Penny Ghent, which is the third peak when you do it in reverse order, and then you have to come back on yourself. You do a 180, don't you, and come back on yourself. So then it was nice to walk down past the viaduct.
And we saw a train go over it when we was there.
Yeah, we did. A commuter train.
Yeah.
Just went over it. Unfortunately, it wasn't a steam train, but yeah, it was good to see that. And then when we got down to the valley, the viaduct marked the point, which is pretty much halfway. The point where...
That's where we met Mark and Maddie.
Yeah, it's where Tracy and Maddie were waiting for us. And we had lunch. So
Yeah.
we needed to eat, because by this point, all we'd had was... What did you eat? I had a bagel, didn't I? Was it a bagel I had?
Pasta. We had pasta.
This was at the halfway, but walking over the route, did you have anything to eat?
We had bagels on Ingleborough.
Yeah.
And then we had pasta
Yeah.
at halfway.
Yeah. So on hindsight, the bagel probably wasn't enough for you. You needed more energy.
No, because after halfway, I did not want to do any more.
No. So we ate the pasta and then we got going. And there's a small bit where you've got to walk. You've got to take your life in your hands, where you've got to walk on the main road, past the cars that are coming, over the...
Yep.
It's like Postman. It's like the scene from Postman Pat. That's what the roads are like. They're like the opening credits to Postman Pat. But the cars are coming up, bombing up it. Coming round the corner. So they, some of the blind corners, you take your life in your hands. So you're walking up the road, and then luckily for us, it's not very far. And then you turn off onto the trails and footpaths that lead up to Penny Ghent, and that's where you had a bit of a wobble, didn't you? Mm-hmm. The wheels fell off for you there, didn't they?
When we was leaving the road.
Yeah. Do you want to talk through that?
My body just shut down. It didn't want to do anymore.
Yeah. Was it your body?
Yeah.
Like, it was obvious you were tired. Like, there's no doubt I was tired. But was it a psychological thing, knowing how far you still had to go?
Yeah, and my body. Because I could see Penny Ghent from where we was. And you kept saying, look for landmarks. Because you kept pointing out, like, farmers' houses. And then every time we got to the house, I would look at Penny Ghent and it would not be any closer. The point where I saw it, like, right there in front of me, and I could see the trail going straight up, like a lift, is then when I could just get on with it and do it. Because I knew it wasn't that far to go.
It's a tough one. Psychologically, that's probably the worst part of the route, because it's between Whernside and Penny Ghent, whether you do it in reverse order or whether you do it so the route we did it was clockwise. The official route is anti-clockwise. So whether you do it clockwise or anti-clockwise, there's a section between Whernside and Penny Ghent. It's about 10 miles long. And it's pretty much flat, undulating terrain. There's a few bridges and streams you've got to cross. But it is...
Small hills as well.
Yeah, a couple of small hills, nothing major. But
There's
it is
sheep everywhere.
Pretty much dead flat, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the problem with it is you can see Penny Ghent in the distance, and this is what you were struggling with. Psychologically, it didn't look like it was getting any closer, did it? So my tactic was, which I do when I do events, was what?
Point out landmarks.
Yeah, and
Like-
walk to them.
Yeah. Because you would stand on top of a hill and say, there's a house over there on the path. Get to the house, and then we'll find somewhere else to get to.
Yeah. And it worked, didn't it?
No.
No.
It was still too far away.
But the problem is you're supposed to fixate on the house or the bridge or the stream or whatever it was that we were walking towards, the big tree. There was a big tree at one point.
Yep, where people was taking pictures.
Yeah. And, randomly people doing selfies by the tree, weren't there?
Yeah.
And the point was you don't look at Penny Ghent then, because Penny Ghent is a huge mountain in the distance. You don't look at that anymore. You look at the house. You fixate on the house. That's what you need to get to.
You also took us into a wrong field and we had to climb over a fence.
Yeah, we went the wrong way, didn't we?
Yeah.
I'll blame you for that.
Because your watch told you go somewhere else and
Yeah.
follow the path. And you were like, no, I remember it from last time. You didn't.
No.
And then the person that was where we needed to be, going over the gate, like the fence thing,
Yeah,
she looked at us a bit funny, like, where have we just come from?
that's right. We had entered into a farmer's field that was full of sheep and very aggressive looking rams protecting their offspring. And we had to move across this field. And it was by the time we were halfway through the field, we realised we'd gone the wrong way and we was massively off track. But I knew if we just carried on the trajectory we were on, if we'd finished the farmer's field, got to the other side of it, then we could cut across the next field and be back on the trail again. We'd cut off a section of the trail.
But
by
we did
doing
make it longer.
It made it longer, yeah. But we had to climb a big fence, do you remember?
Yeah.
And then the woman saw us and she was like, she didn't say anything, but she just looked at us as if to say, where have you come from?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got back on trail and we headed up to Penny Ghent, didn't we?
Yep.
And you was all right by then. You recovered. That was where you had your wobble between the halfway point and where we went off trail, which was probably about 6 or 7 miles. For those 6 or 7 miles, you struggled, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
You sat down quite a lot.
Yeah.
We had quite a few breaks, but that's the way we treated it, We treated it as a challenge, but we didn't push it to the point of collapse. We took plenty of breaks. We ate plenty of cookies, plenty of bourbons, plenty of
Wine
biscuits, wine gums.
The wine gums didn't help.
No, wine gums made you feel worse, didn't they?
Yeah.
They gave you a bellyache.
Yeah.
But that's how we dealt with it. That's how we dealt with you hitting the wall. You'd had plenty to eat then. And then when the food kicked in, which took 5 or 6 miles, and a few wine gums and biscuits later, when the food kicked in, because I think that's what you were struggling with, you hit the wall because you hadn't had enough to eat. When that kicked in, you felt 100 times better, didn't you?
By the end, I was better, yeah.
Yeah. And then we tackled Penny Ghent. We finally got to the base of Penny Ghent, and we tackled it, didn't we?
Going down, I didn't feel that good either because my belly ached.
Hang on a minute. At the beginning of the podcast, I asked you what's the best bit, and you went going down Penny Ghent.
No, that was the fun part. But I had a bellyache going down it.
That's from all the wine gums and biscuits.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Penny Ghent was tough, though. That's the toughest one.
Yeah.
Well, it's the toughest one because we're exhausted. And I'm carrying 45 pounds on my back.
I had water.
Yeah, Mum overloaded your backpack
Oh
at halfway.
my gosh.
Yeah, Scarlett wasn't happy with that.
Very
Yeah,
unnecessary.
we'd finished lunch and Mum being Mum did a mum
Because
thing.
you said
Overloaded
drink
her backpack.
at the start before we got to the halfway point. You said drink your water and it'll get lighter.
Yeah.
Eat your food and it'll get lighter.
Yeah.
So I ate it and I drank it and it was getting lighter.
Yeah.
Get to halfway, it's heavier than I started off with.
That's because when we got to halfway, your mum filled your bag. I refilled your water for you, which you need. You can't go without water. But your mum filled your bag with sweets and food, didn't she?
That I did not eat.
That you didn't eat.
I ate none of it.
Mum did her mum thing and filled her bag with food because she thought, oh, my princess needs food to eat on the route.
Because you said I haven't been eating a lot and I'm probably hungry and that's why my body's going to
Yeah.
start shutting down.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, fill the bag.
But you'd already eaten a tub of pasta, a bag of crisps, some fruit,
A bagel.
And
2 cans Coke.
Oh yeah, 2 cans of Coke because, energy.
And a bottle of Lucozade.
And a bottle of Lucozade. And water. At
Yep.
this point, how much your bag carries 1.5 litres, or is it 2 litres?
Dunno.
I think it's 2 litres. So she had a bag that we bought specifically.
bladder.
Yeah, a bladder. A bag that specifically was bought for this challenge, which is a camelback bag, which has a bladder in it. It's basically a backpack that has a bladder in it, and you fill it up and you drink out of a straw. So you haven't got to take anything out. You just drink it as and when you need it. And it holds about 2 litres. So by the time we reached halfway, you'd drunk all that, hadn't you? Mm-hmm. So you'd done all that water, which was good, refilled it, and then your mum's put more food in with it. So your bag weighed as much as mine did.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't. Mine was 45 pounds. I mentioned that in the video quite a few times. Very heavy. Small toddler. So then we got to the top of Pen-y-Ghent eventually. Finally, we took our time. And I think we reached the peak in 12 hours. So that was 12 hours.
13.
No, we finished in 13, didn't we?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it took us an hour and a half to get down and to the car park. So we finished in just over 13 hours, but it took us 12 hours to get to the top of Pen-y-Ghent, which is pretty good. You know, for your first attempt.
I mean, your first attempt, you didn't even finish it.
Exactly. My first attempt, I didn't even finish it. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome. We had good weather, though.
Yeah, we did. It was a lovely day. We got sunburnt.
I got tanned.
Yeah.
My legs are still tanned from it.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
That's lucky. So it's a good event.
Yeah.
So I've already asked you this question. What was the best thing?
Going down Pen-y-Ghent.
That's the best thing, even though you said you had a bellyache.
Yeah.
So the best thing
we
wasn't...
just don't listen to that part.
So the best thing wasn't spending time with your dad.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Overcoming a fantastic challenge.
Yep.
Doing something that most people can't do.
Yep.
Did that feel good?
Yep.
It is a hard challenge.
I didn't like going to school for next week.
You weren't walking properly for the next few days, were you?
I struggled majorly.
Going upstairs.
My nickname that week was Hobbles.
Who gave you that nickname?
All my friends. I say friends. They're not really that nice saying that to me.
So when you explained to them what you'd done, what did you say?
I walked up 3 mountains. There's not really much more to say.
No. Are you pleased you done it though?
Yeah.
Do you think back on it now?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Are you proud of yourself?
Yeah.
You should be proud. It's
Are
a hard
you
challenge.
proud of yourself?
Oh, 100%. Oh, £45 Bergen, Scarlett. I carried that over 3 peaks and had to drag a 14-year-old round who had a bellyache.
I dragged you around. You're the one that I had to pick up.
I'm very proud of myself.
When we was going down Ingleborough, you took your bag off and you're dropping things down the mountain.
I was, yeah. It was very steep. I don't like heights.
I had to pick up things that fell out of your bag.
I did struggle. I hate heights. Hate them. I don't know why I climb mountains.
I had to pick things up that fell out of your bag.
So anyway, we don't need to talk about that. So moving on from that, I'm going to ask you, what's the next challenge? Now that you've done Yorkshire Three Peaks, you've ticked that. What's the next challenge?
Seeing how long I can go before you ask me to do something.
Okay, so I'll ask you now then. We'll do another challenge.
No.
I mean, we've got the National Three Peaks. We could do that.
Nope.
Do you know what the National Three Peaks is?
Isn't it across 24 hours?
Yeah. Shall I tell you? So it's a challenge across 3 peaks, 3 mountains, and they're mountains. All right. Yorkshire is peaks. That's why they're called the Yorkshire Three Peaks. But the 3 mountains in this challenge are the 3 biggest mountains in the UK. So in Scotland is Ben Nevis, in England is Scafell Pike, which is in the Lake District, and in Wales it's Snowdon. So you complete all 3 mountains within 24 hours. And the challenge is not just climbing them, but the challenge is also traversing the routes between them. So getting from, say for example, you start in Ben Nevis in Scotland to then get to the Lake District to do Scafell Pike, to then get to Wales to do Snowdon, all within 24 hours. So the logistics of driving, eating, training, carrying everything you need to carry, that's the challenge.
You can do Duke of Edinburgh and Snowdon.
Can you?
Yeah.
That would be a good Duke of Edinburgh. Snowdon.
You can also do Silver Duke of Edinburgh on a boat.
On a boat?
Yeah.
Would you like to do it on a boat?
Yeah, it would have been much easier.
You haven't got to carry a bag. So that's the challenge. So would you like to go back? Would you like to go back and do the Yorkshire Three Peaks again? Do it in a better time?
No.
You don't want to do it again?
No.
But you did really well.
Well, I don't want to do it again.
If you did do it again, hypothetically speaking, let's assume in a world where you want to overcome hard challenges like your dad, If you did do it again, what would you do differently? What 3 things? Let's have 3 things that you do differently.
Not let mum pack my bag.
Yeah.
Maybe try and not stop as much.
Okay, what was the problem with stopping?
Took up too much time.
Yeah.
Because at the start we had to stop to fix my straw because it never worked.
Yeah.
Well, it did. We just didn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
We stopped for a long time halfway.
Yeah.
We kept stopping on Pennygent.
Yeah.
We didn't really stop that much on the first 2 peaks because we were still fresh then.
Yeah.
But we did stop a lot.
Yeah, in the long drag between halfway and Pennygent, we stopped a lot, didn't we?
Yeah.
We lost loads of time there. And then what would be the 3rd thing?
So I've done not let mum pack and stopping. Not get a bellyache. That would be one.
Yeah, don't eat wine gums.
Yeah. I would probably say just be a bit more prepared.
Yeah. Well, you know what to expect now.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I always say half the battle is knowing what you're entering into. When you enter into something fresh that you've never done before, the biggest challenge I had on the fan dance, a fan dance is a really good comparison. The biggest challenge I had was I didn't know the terrain. I didn't know the route. I didn't know the lines. So when I'm running down especially, there was aspects of it. If I'd come off the path and run down some of the trodden trails off path, it would have made my life easier. Knowing that in advance would have shaved some time off. Not wearing the wrong boots that rip my feet apart that I'm still struggling with now.
I watched you on YouTube do your other one the second time running it. So I had like a little inkling of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting what I did.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really know what to expect.
But you'd also never done a challenge like that, so you didn't know what you're capable of. Things that I've learned is you're capable, and you should be very proud of this, you're capable of a lot more than you realise. You overcame that wall you hit. So halfway, after we'd finished lunch and set off again, and we'd got up the road, turned off the road onto that footpath, that wobble you had then, you hit the wall hard, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you overcame that. Because I gave you the option. I actually said to you, look, we'll call mum. We'll get Tracy to come and pick us up. Like, there's no problem. It's not a problem. I gave you the option.
As soon as we started walking away from the road, I didn't really have another choice to stop. But then I wanted to, but then it meant we had to walk all the way back.
Yeah. So sometimes it's easier just to go forward.
Yeah. Like, I knew it was longer forward, really longer forward. But I just didn't want to go back.
But at that point, you were still on the road. Yeah. I said to you, you can stop now, no problem.
I kept saying I didn't want to disappoint you.
Yeah.
Just shows how much I loved you at that point.
You don't love me now?
No.
Oh, wow, that's great. Thanks for that. Let's end that on the high. I'm saying something really good to you about how you overcome a really hard challenge, how you dug deep, you've learned something new about yourself, you're stronger than you give yourself credit for. What do I get? I don't love you anymore. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
All right. Any questions you want to ask me on the podcast?
What about the podcast?
No, just about anything.
Oh. Was it fun?
The Yorkshire Three Peaks?
Yeah.
I loved every second of it. You know I love stuff like that. And being able to do it with you was fantastic.
What would you have done differently?
Oh, that's a good question.
Say that like you didn't just ask me.
Yeah, no, it's a good question because I wasn't thinking about it. What would I do differently? Not a lot. I think the challenge we faced was your challenge. I was carrying a heavy burden, so I wasn't going to do any significant pace, really. I wanted to use it as a training opportunity.
I mean, you kept saying on the flats you wanted to do a little jog.
Yeah.
That never happened.
Well, that's because, were you running?
No.
No. So I'm not going to make you run. I would have run the flats. The flats are easy to run. It's the inclines that are the problem and the descents. Going down, if I trip, imagine me tripping, carrying that backpack on Ingleborough. You just see me bouncing down like a basketball at the bottom. I'd be like a scene from Stranger Things, just lying there like this.
That would have been funny.
It wouldn't have been at all. It wouldn't have been for me.
Obviously not.
And it wouldn't have been for you because you'd have been responsible.
No, it would have been that sitting in the field, call mum.
Yeah, yeah.
That wasn't a good experience.
No. Do you want to explain to people listening what that is?
Was it 60 miles?
Yeah.
You walked 60 miles And because how many times did you go round? Because you came from the house, you went round on a loop. How many times did you loop?
So the loop was 10 miles.
So
And
loop
one of the
6.
loops was 20. So I did it 5 times. So one loop was 20, the others were 10 miles.
Yeah. So on the last one was the 20 miles.
Yeah.
And I did that with you, and that was at midnight because
It
you
was past midnight. It was
super slow.
Yeah.
And
Well, put it in context, because you just called me super slow. Put it in
he
context.
was a fatty at that point.
You can't say that. That's fat shaming. Don't they teach you this in school? So this was in, hang on, let me check when it was. Let me actually get some facts. Because it's funny that you remember stuff like that, because that wasn't something that we had discussed. So this was, so just to add some context, so as you guys understand what we're actually talking about, I actually made a video of it, of course, because I make videos of everything. This was a video called Walk the Line. And it was a video I made of a challenge during the pandemic, during lockdown. So when we weren't able to go to the gym or sign up for any running events or anything like that, I decided I was going to make my own event. So this was 4 years ago. So this was this must have been in 2020.
yeah.
And it's where I walked because I couldn't run at the time.
She was still big.
I was still big. I was a fatty. It's where I walked 60 miles non-stop on a loop around my house during the pandemic because we couldn't go anywhere else.
And he wanted us to walk with him in case he died.
No, you're making it sound really dramatic. So I wanted you to come with me because I wanted you to be part of it. So I had it all planned in advance. Maddie was going to do one of the loops with me, and then you were going to come and do one of the loops with me.
And you made me do the harder one because I did the 20 miles.
No, you didn't do 20 miles.
I did the last one.
Yeah, but that wasn't 20 miles. The 20 miler was done during the day. The one you did was during the night.
Oh, okay. I didn't do the longer one then.
But 10 miles is still a long way.
I did the 10 miles with Dad on the last loop, which was past midnight, and we was nearly home. Yeah. We was at the school in the field.
Yeah.
And he had to sit down and felt like he was going to faint.
Yeah.
He handed me his phone and said, "Call Mum in case anything happens." I am there. I am, how old am I?
4 years ago.
10. I'm 9 at that point.
No, 4 years ago. You're nearly 15, so you'd have been 10. Nearly 11.
Nearly 11, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. He's handed me his phone to call Mum to make sure he doesn't faint in a field. I don't know where I am. I'm standing there. He's sitting on the floor with a Coke.
With a Coke. So with a can of Coke, let me context this because, there's going to be people leaving comments after that statement. So in advance of planning this event, I had it planned that Maddie and Scarlett, my 2 daughters, were going to come and do one of the loops with me. And it was planned that they were going to do the last 2 loops. And the last 2 loops were 10 miles each.
Maddie was also too scared to do the one at night.
To do the nighttime one, yeah. So you swap round. So because it was taking longer than anticipated, we were going into the early hours. We were finishing late, it was early morning. And they'd swapped round. Scarlett was going to do the last one with me. Maddie had already done the 10 miles, got back, swapped round. Scarlett was coming out with me. We was on our way back on the last loop where...
It wasn't that far away from home.
We weren't, no. We was about 4 miles from home.
Yeah.
And, I hit the wall. And I was blacking out. I was passing out. I was going to hit the deck, completely unconscious. I could feel myself. It's happened. That was the first time it ever happened to me. It never happened before. It's happened several times since where I've pushed myself too far. I've pushed myself past the point of no return.
But you didn't know what
I hadn't eaten enough. And I know the signs now when it happens. But at the time, I didn't know. So when it was happening, I just thought, it's fatigue. I just need to keep going. We're only 3 or 4 miles from home. I've got my daughter with me. I've got my 10-year-old daughter with me. We need to get home. And this was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I could feel myself going. And if I had stayed on my feet, I would have passed out, would have blacked out. I didn't even know sitting on the floor would have made a difference. So I gave Scarlett my phone and said, if I pass out, call Mum. Tell her where we are.
I'm like, obviously, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And I hit the deck, but I didn't pass out. I was going.
I sat there next to you.
I could see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I had, because
That's how tough this challenge was.
Did you have a bag on?
No, I didn't have a bag.
No,
I was carrying.
I had a bag. I had your Coke in it.
Yeah.
made me get a Coke out for you.
Yeah.
You sat down, gave me your phone.
Well, I thought the can of Coke, because Coke I've learnt from doing Race to the Stones. That was what I did in 2019. I learnt that Coke is like diesel fuel when you're tired. Like, I wouldn't drink Coke, even though you're sat there with a small can.
Hey, you had a Diet Coke for breakfast this morning.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You sat there with a Coke this morning.
Right, don't give my secrets away. I wouldn't drink Coke in any other situation.
Other than for breakfast.
First time I've done that in yonks. But when you're doing a massive endurance event, sometimes it's the only stuff that touches the side. You can have all the energy, all the expensive, big branded energy gels and drinks in the world, but a can of full fat Coke, when you're exhausted to the point of, collapse, sometimes it's the only thing that gives you that little bit of a sugar boost that's enough to get you over the line. Yeah, it wasn't enough this time. So I laid on the floor, didn't I?
Yeah.
In the pitch black, in the middle of a farmer's field.
Yep, didn't know where we were.
I knew where we were. And had to recover. It took us, I had to lie there for God knows how long.
Probably about half an hour.
Yeah. And then I had to recover, come back round because I couldn't walk. And eventually, as soon as I had enough in me to be able to get up and keep moving, we managed to get home, didn't we?
Yeah.
I was in a bad way. That was a hard challenge. That was a really hard challenge. That's when I was really heavy as well. All right, good. I don't know how we've managed to turn it around.
Duke of Edinburgh,
Yorkshire Three Peaks to Walk the Line. But the video, if anyone wants to watch it, that wasn't...
fan dance.
I'm fan dance, yeah. Unfortunately, me collapsing wasn't in the video because 4 years ago when I made YouTube videos...
I was in charge of filming as well. You gave me the camera.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did you film it?
No.
It was because it was pitch black.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have seen anything. But it was in the days where...
We did have a torch. I had my reading torch because I had a
I remember. Yeah, neck torch that has absolutely no visual benefit at all.
It did help.
Did it?
Because that was the only torch we had.
Well, yeah. It was like that or pitch black.
Yeah.
And these were in the days where I didn't want to put anything negative in videos, and I saw struggle and, it being tough as negative for some reason, and I never put that in a video, which obviously it isn't. It's nonsense. I put everything in my videos now. Good and bad, warts and all. Okay, good. So look,
this is a podcast including everything that's ever happened in your life.
Say that again.
This is a podcast including everything that's ever happened in your life.
Yeah, anything that's challenge or fitness related or weight loss related, I put in these podcasts. Do you like my podcast?
I don't know. I've never listened to them.
Are you saying you've never listened to an episode of my podcast?
Yep.
That's not a very good advert for people listening to this episode. Can you say that again?
I have always listened to his podcast. I've listened to every single one. They're amazing. You should always watch them.
Listen to them.
Listen to them, sorry.
Okay, guys, listen. It is the end of this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to let Scarlett close us out. Anything you want to add?
Is this like YouTube? Can you hit a like button or something?
No, there's no like button.
Oh, sorry.
You need to come up with something unique.
Subscribe.
They've already subscribed if they're listening.
Thanks, guys. Come listen next time.
Thank you, Scarlett. I've enjoyed having my first ever guest on my podcast. Let me know if you enjoyed this episode. Please leave me a like. You can leave likes on Patreon and join. Please leave me a like and a comment. That would mean a lot. Let me know what you thought of what Scarlett said.
Maybe we'll get Tracy on here next time.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was thinking about doing an episode with Tracy.
There you go.
What do you think the episode should be?
Probably about park runs.
Park runs.
How Tracy feels when we have to be there for you.
Silly o'clock in the morning on the finish line.
Where you're sleeping in the car and she's driving.
I don't want to do that podcast. That doesn't sound like a fun one. It sounds like her having the opportunity, having an audience to tell me how much of a burden I am.
How she feels when she supports you.
Yeah. Well, I know how I feel when she supports me.
It might be different. It might be one-sided.
It is one-sided. I feel very grateful, and I couldn't do it without her support.
What about me? I'm always there.
We'll take it or leave it with you.
Oh,
Jesus.
wow.
Especially halfway up Penny again. Oh, Guys, if you haven't watched that episode on my YouTube channel, please go and have a look. Yorkshire Three Peaks, a forced adventure. Scarlett is very, very funny, very insightful. Some of the stuff, she is mic'd up, so you can hear everything she says. And there's also the vlog on my Patreon and join pages.
I commentate over the top
She
of
does.
you.
Yeah, she commentates over the top of me. The episode I might do with Tracy, I thought about doing a vegan episode, talking about being vegan. I thought that would be fun.
That's boring.
Is it? Oh, okay, all right. Well, with that feedback, probably won't do it then. There's only going to be 8 episodes in this season. Season 1, unbelievably, I've only got 3 more episodes left, and I'm going to make sure they're good ones. So please make sure you stick around. They're uploaded every single Wednesday. I want to say a big, big thank you to Scarlett for joining me for this episode. It has been great to have a guest. If you've enjoyed me having a guest in my podcast episodes, please let me know in the comments below. Leave me a like. I really, really appreciate your feedback. Scarlett, anything to add?
No, it's just you'll hear me in the next one. That's your new saying.
Are you going to be in the next episode?
No.
Oh, that's me saying that,
That's
is
you
it?
saying
Okay,
that.
guys, you're going to hear me in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.